Hello, friends. How are you all? I hope you're all doing great and life is treating you well. I'm guessing you've already listened to my last horror story, but if you haven't, don't worry. I'll leave the link right below in the description box. Today's story is going to be incredibly terrifying. If you have AirPods, headphones, or earphones, put them on right now. Go into a separate room, turn off the lights, set your phone aside, and just lose yourself in the story through your headphones. Today's story is called The Midnight Bus. The rain was pouring so heavily that the entire city felt frozen in time. Arslan stood beneath an old bus stop at exactly 1 in the morning, trying to shield himself from the storm. His bike had broken down in the middle of the road, his phone battery was dead, and there wasn't a single vehicle anywhere in sight. The cold was so intense that his hands trembled uncontrollably. A loud thunderclap exploded across the sky. Then, from somewhere far away, came the long, eerie sound of an old bus horn. Arslan slowly looked up. Cutting through the fog and heavy rain, an ancient yellow bus moved toward the stop. It looked rusted and abandoned, as if it belonged to another era. Strangely, none of the lights inside the bus were on. Only the 2 dim yellow headlights glowed through the darkness. The bus stopped directly in front of him. The rusty doors creaked open. Without thinking, Arslan quickly stepped inside to escape the rain. The moment he entered, the bus doors slammed shut behind him with a violent bang. The air inside was freezing cold, like the inside of a morgue. Arslan looked toward the driver's seat. A thin old man sat behind the wheel, his head lowered toward the steering wheel, completely motionless. But beside him stood the ticket conductor. He wore an old-fashioned khaki uniform and held a vintage ticket machine in his hand. Without saying a word, he stretched his hand toward Arslan. The old machine clicked softly. Trying to stay calm, Arslan pulled out a 100-rupee note and said nervously, "Brother, 1 ticket for the next stop." The conductor took the money. Then slowly, he lifted his face. Arslan's throat went dry. The conductor had no eyes. There was nothing on his face except smooth white skin where the eyes should have been. Yet somehow, he was staring directly at Arslan. A horrifying smile spread across his face. He reached into an old leather bag and handed Arslan a black-colored ticket. Terrified, Arslan stepped back and moved deeper into the bus. His hands shook as he looked down at the ticket. There was no seat number, no destination, only 3 words written in blood-red letters. Journey to the afterlife. The engine growled loudly as the bus began moving again. The sound it made was unnatural, like giant pieces of metal grinding against each other. Arslan's heartbeat grew faster. He looked around the bus. There were only 5 passengers sitting inside. Every single one of them stared silently out of the windows. None of them blinked. None of them moved. Arslan sat on an empty seat and nervously looked outside. The moment he did, his blood ran cold. There was no road outside, no buildings, no trees. No city lights, only endless black darkness. It looked as though the bus wasn't driving on a road at all, but floating through an infinite void. Then suddenly, a soft crying sound echoed from nearby. Arslan slowly turned his head. A woman sitting in the seat ahead of him began turning toward him very slowly. Her skin was pale gray. Blood tears streamed down from her eyes. In a weak, trembling voice, she whispered, "Why did you come here?" Arslan couldn't speak. The woman continued, This bus has no next stop. It never stops. We've all been trapped here for years. Arslan immediately looked around at the other passengers. Now all of them had turned toward him. Their faces began changing. Skin peeled away slowly. Bones cracked beneath rotten flesh. One by one, they stood up from their seats and started walking toward him. The sound of cracking bones filled the bus. Arslan jumped to his feet and ran toward the driver. "Stop the bus! Please stop the bus!" He grabbed the driver's shoulder. The driver's body collapsed into dust. His clothes fell apart. Only a human skeleton remained behind the wheel, still driving the bus. Arslan screamed in horror. Then suddenly, the blind conductor appeared behind him. He placed an ice-cold hand around Arslan's neck and whispered, "Your time is over. Your ticket has already been punched." At that exact moment, the old clock hanging above the driver's seat began striking midnight. Dong, dong, dong. Arslan looked up in terror. The clock's hands were moving backwards. That's when he realized this clock was controlling the bus. Using every bit of strength left in his body, Arslan pulled off his boot and smashed it directly into the glass of the clock. The glass shattered instantly. A deafening explosion-like sound ripped through the bus. The passengers screamed. The entire bus shook violently. Then, a blinding white light consumed everything. Arslan felt as though he were falling endlessly through the sky. Suddenly, birds chirping, warm sunlight touched his face. Arslan's eyes snapped open. He was lying on the same old bench at the bus stop. The storm was gone. The road was dry. His bike stood safely beside the street, exactly where it should have been. Arslan took a deep breath and laughed nervously. It was just a nightmare. Still shaken, he stood up and walked toward his bike. Then he slipped his hand into his jacket pocket. His fingers touched something, a piece of paper. Slowly, he pulled it out. His face turned pale instantly. It was the same black bus ticket, and written across it in blood-red letters were the words, "Journey to the afterlife. We'll meet again." Far away in the distance, the horn of the old midnight bus echoed once more, and then silence. And that is where today's story ends, my friends. I really hope you all survived this nightmare. If this story scared you and you liked it, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll see you in the next horror video. Until then, goodbye.